we are so close to kickoff. You can smell the football in the air. Let's start with Dan's favorite thing, bold predictions for tonight. Ravens and Chiefs. Give me a prediction, Orlovsky.
America is going to witness the start of history in the NFL. This is the beginning of the three-peat for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has always wanted to chase down Tom Brady and get into that GOAT conversation, make it 1-1. He does so starting tonight by building on this campaign of back-to-back Super Bowls, and this year becomes a 3-time in a row Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, something Brady himself never did. Harry, give me a bold prediction for tonight.
The first offensive touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs will be a 50-plus bomb to Xavier Worthy. We're talking about 4.21 40 speed. Take the top off. Bombs over Baghdad. Here we go.
Glad bag.
Harry is in mid-season form. Jason, give me a bold prediction for tonight.
It's not typical of me, but I'm going to roll with the wide receivers as well. I'm going 2 touchdowns for Rashad Bateman. They're going to be looking at Trent McDuffie following Zay Flowers. Well, Rashad Bateman, you've had a good offseason, a good training camp, and all that they're saying, we'll put it into work tonight. Bateman goes off for the Ravens.
Okay, so we're talking about the passing game of the Ravens, but I think most eyes will be on the brand new running back of the Ravens. Dan, let's start with this. What does Derrick Henry do for a Baltimore offense that's stalled in a bad way in the AFC Championship?
It gives them someone that they trust outside of Lamar. You know, and Baltimore's got a lot to prove tonight. Are you good enough? We know that you're great. Are you good enough to beat Kansas City in a big, massive moment? I think it's happened once. And if you go back to last year in the playoff game, and we talked about it ad nauseum on the show, of like 6 runs to the backs, and part of it was because I don't think they trusted anybody else with the football in someone's hands outside of Lamar. And part of me understands that. We got Derrick Henry. So are you good enough? Are you going to hand it off to him? Can you beat Patrick Mahomes if Kansas City is loaded, which they are, and they're better offensively than they were last year? Can you go toe for toe and outscore them in a way in reliance on someone other than Lamar Jackson? They got to prove that tonight.
Well, Jason, you are the only person sitting here who has ever stood in a hole and said, there's that guy coming right at me. I need to do something about it. What does Derrick Henry mean to this offense?
And to your point, Greeny, I've stood in that hole, and that's why I'm now sitting in this seat, because I want no part of what Derrick Henry can do. And I look at this, to your point, Dan, is now they have every reason to run the football. When you have a guy like Derrick Henry, you're absolutely going to trust him because he's shown you year after year he is dominant when he has the ball in his hands. The question mark to me is, how do the Kansas City Chiefs attack this Ravens offense? They have some new corners on the outside. They're going to be playing a lot more. McDuffie's going to be more on the outside as well. So now do they commit to that run game, and does it open up the pass?
I think that's why for Baltimore and Todd Monken, he cannot do tonight what he did in the AFC Championship game. Your identity is running the football, right? So now Kansas City, they're going to have to commit more guys in the box, and that's where that secondary comes in. L'Jarius Sneed is no longer there. So Joshua Williams, who's now going to start at corner, is he going to be able to hold up versus a guy named
Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
You got to show you evolve.
The big fumble in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
People forget the moments in that game.
I was there. Yeah.
It came on, but I want to come to you on this because one of the storylines here will be revenge. We kicked that around yesterday. You're my reporter. You're my writer extraordinaire.
You kicked it by yourself.
Well, let's kick it away. We kick it away.
Jeff Saturday kicked it back in my face.
Yes, he did.
But if you were writing the lead to this game, if you were writing the lead to the story of the preview of this game, would it be Lamar Jackson looking to prove something against Kansas City in the opener, despite the fact that he is the reigning MVP?
Yeah. Because here's why. Because the Ravens are 1-4 against the Chiefs with Lamar as their starting quarterback. So as much as this season does not come down to this one game, I think how we look at Lamar, how we discuss this team throughout this Ravens season is about January and February and whether they're playing in February. That's all it's about. You know, I look at Derrick Henry. Is he the missing piece? In my mind, I thought they had everything they needed last year because in that AFC title game, the Chiefs didn't beat the Ravens. The Ravens beat themselves.
Sure. Here, I would say this, though. Anytime anyone in this league goes against Patrick, it's a prove-it game.
Yeah.
You got to prove that you can beat them. And there's only 5 or 6 guys that, if Patrick is playing his best, can actually do it. Yeah. Baltimore's got a lot to prove outside of Lamar. I mean, obviously, Lamar's got to go play well. They got 3 new offensive linemen. They got a new defensive coordinator. They lost 50% of the best inside linebacker duo in football, Patrick Queens in Pittsburgh. Yes. So as much as, like, hey, Lamar's got to go do it, Baltimore's got to go prove, as the 1 seed last year, like, we're just going to be as good.
Well, I'm about to, for the first time this football season, say my 5 favorite words. Dan, you've got a tape.
I want to see if Baltimore learns from what happened in the AFC Championship game last year. Now, you're going to see these formations. These are the formations in this game, okay? All 3 of these plays were negative result plays, but this is something they can go. Lamar, you can maybe hand the ball off to a back, or you can kick out this 3-man bubble with lead blockers, and these are simple reads. Remember, in this game, this was a negative play, a drop back pass. You read that defender. If he goes out, ball carrier. If he goes in and hangs, you could kick the ball to the perimeter. That's number 1. Same formation. You could jet or speed motion this wide receiver, potentially hand it off to him. If not, you can pull the backside guard. Lamar can become this ball carrier. Back in the AFC Championship game, this was just a straight drop back pass, negative play. Read that outside defender again. If he stays in, Zay Flowers on the edge. Stays out, Lamar's the ball carrier. Derrick Henry downhill as the number 1 option. We can maybe arc release our tight end, and Lamar could be the number 2 option. Back in the AFC Championship game, drop back pass, negative play. Reading that outside defender once again, and he's the one in conflict. These are simple answers for Baltimore offensively. If Kansas City is going to line up and play that same way, and J-Mac, you know this, they play with 5 and 6 defensive backs on the field. If Kansas City is going to do that, it has to become 30-plus carries between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
And if you're doing that, that forces Lamar now, the thing we've always said, you mentioned it before, Todd Monken, he was brought in and Lamar became more of a pocket passer. And that was what we felt he needed to do to take his game to the next level.
And he did.
And he did. And now you're saying, like, we need to rely a little bit more on those legs. And I'm looking at it, if I'm Spagnuolo, the chief defensive coordinator, he could be thinking the same thing. So now as I'm committing more of those guys to the run, do we want Lamar to get hit as much if we have an 8-man box and we're all up there and we're ready for the quarterback run game? I think this is where you said he took his game to the next level. If they're all up there in the box, then you're forced to get the ball on the outside to a Bateman and to a Flowers.
All right, so the Ravens' offensive side of this will be fascinating to watch. While on the other side, Dan touched on it. The Chiefs are trying to make history. No team in the Super Bowl era has ever won 3 straight. Harry, I come to you as my wide receiver. They bring in the shiny new toy. Xavier Worthy, who ran the fastest 40 in the history of the Combine. How much of an impact do we expect him to make immediately with the all-time great Patrick Mahomes?
I think he has to have one. And he kind of reminds me of a guy that Andy Reid coaching Deshaun Jackson. He can really take the top off the defense. He can run routes. He has extreme hands. But I think for Xavier Worthy, being able to take the top off the defense, now things underneath are going to become more open. When you have a Juju Smith-Schuster who's now back with the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce, we know he's going to be able to get open whether he is dealing with double teams or being singled up regardless. But also Rashee Rice. We got to remember, he's an underneath guy. When you have that guy that can take the top off the defense and scare a defense. And J-Mac, you can touch on this. Being a defensive back, knowing you have an Xavier Worthy, a Tyreek Hill coming at you, what's the mindset?
Well, my hamstrings hurt already. Get deep. Get deep.
But that's the comparison I want to make here, because obviously we've seen Tyreek Hill in this offense, and people will say, ooh, Tyreek Hill, super fast. Xavier Worthy going to come in and do all the same things because he's even faster. What is the Tyreek factor here, the connection? Here's Tyreek as a Chief.
Tyreek was a little bit different. Me and Harry were talking about this. We were teammates in 2016 with the Tennessee Titans. We go down to Arrowhead, and we're playing against this team, and they have this guy in Tyreek Hill, and he's lined up in the backfield. So he wasn't even out at receiver at that point. This is a guy that you just get the ball in his hands wherever on the football field.
Here's that
and
play.
Here it goes right here. I'm already out of the game. First play of the game, an offensive lineman plants me on the sideline. I'm in a coat on the sideline watching Tyreek Hill just go bonkers. Harry Douglas in the offense didn't do enough, and we ended up losing the game.
That's the first play of the game, you said?
Oh, my.
No, that was the second play.
Yes.
Second play of the game?
They took me out on the first play.
I was on the sideline, and I said, oh, my God. Because I had played with Devin Hester, and you seen fast with Devin Hester. When I seen Tyreek Hill, I said, Lord have mercy.
So I said the same thing. So here's the thing. Tyreek Hill, Xavier Worthy is actually even faster than Tyreek Hill. But that just fast isn't the whole game here. What exactly does he do for Patrick in this offense?
Yeah, he elevates the field. This offense wasn't good last year. We could be honest about that, even though they won the Super Bowl, because it was so shrunk down. Penalties, drops, I'm aware of that. But just starting point was shrunk down, so you're only playing horizontally. I'm going to do a touch screen later to show exactly how I do think Worthy's going to step into that Tyreek role when it comes to making sure that the defense feels vertical speed. Sometimes you take advantage of it to that guy. Sometimes you'll take advantage of it to other people. I do like the Deshaun Jackson comp, though, when it comes to that, because, you know, Reek is a very special player. I fully expect Andy Reid to try to get him touches in that regard. I don't know if they'll hand it off to him inside the tackles, but I think they're going to try to get touches to him, both going horizontally and vertically.
Kmart, final word here. Mahomes, Kelsey, Reid, legend and history at stake as they started tonight.
Not only is it going to be difficult for them to defy what has not been done before, right? To do what hasn't been done. But again, to Dan's point about this offense wasn't good last year, this was not an explosive offense. And so that's what you want to see. You want to see Patrick Mahomes be able to take the top off again. You want to see him be able to throw deep. They've got the guys to do it. But again, you got to see it on the field.
Green, can I hit you with one more thing in this game?
Of course.
We often ask who's under the most pressure in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are starting a rookie at left tackle.
Yeah.